Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here. Right, this is in the middle of a night show. I'm calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. All right, this is about: is there a God? Is it real? Do you believe in God? All right. Now, there's a problem. If you notice, over the past 30 years or so, every aspect of God's being removed from schools, halls, buildings. Not that it's just against religion, but I feel it's against God itself. You ask the average person, do they believe in God? They'll say yes. Ask them what they know about God. Well, what they will say is not very much. They'll repeat a program they heard or they were taught. God loves us. God protects us. Well, when you deal with other religions, like Buddhism, where they don't believe in God, and you hear them say, well, how could there be a God? You really think somebody's up there sitting there pulling the strings for people, making this world as bad as it is? Well, and then people that don't believe in God at all. People that believe in the universe as God, or the source of everything. An empty space creating source of something? Really? Darkness. Emptiness is another word that they use a lot. What is emptiness? If you experience emptiness, you're experiencing nothing. And if you're experiencing nothing, what does that really mean? Nothing. All right, to say you're nothingness, why would you want to? Disown who and what you are? Is that what you want to do? That's fine. You can do whatever you want in this world. Good, better, and different. But it won't get you out of this world. Now, the concept of God in religion is a being that created everything, created you and me, protects us, forgives us for doing things, and loves us. People, do you understand? Love did not exist until 2,000 years ago. Actually, 2,022 years ago. How did it come into manifestation? Well, it wasn't through the Egyptians. It wasn't through the Mayans. It wasn't through the Anunnaki. It wasn't through any of those names you heard. The Nordics, the Mantis, the Andromedan Syrians. None of that has brought the word love into reality. The idea of love was created, and this is a fact. This is the truth, people. You don't have to accept it, and you probably won't. But I only do truth on my show, any show that I do. I don't put lies up, don't put stories up. I don't bring people that I don't trust or know. If I do by mistake, I will never do that person again. I wrote one person on, and I'm kind of sorry I did. I didn't want to promote him at all, and what he's doing. But I'm only promoting the truth, not the lies, the stories, or the false things we should believe in and be a part of. Earth is hell, people. It's not a good place. It's not heaven. And it's not a place you want to stay. It's not a place you want to reincarnate back into. But the programming and twisting of thoughts and ideas make people believe a lot of things, like we're one with the universe. What would that mean? One with nothingness? How great is that? What can it do? What would it help you do? What would it help you become? Nothing? All right. Then we got words like New Age, and they're more into believing that we came from the universe, and that's the power. And then the other word that they use is we are all one. One what? One entity, one thought, one being. I will tell you this, from all the experiences I went through in my life, and the things I've proven to myself, there is a God. Not what you perceive it to be. It doesn't look anything like us. And we don't look anything like it does. Concept. Now, Moses, when he created a bunch of thoughts for people to believe in, okay, we were creating in its image of what? Not the image you perceive. And even at that, we're not. To say, okay, we are soul, and soul is its image. No, it's not either. If you took a drop of blood out of your body and put it on a piece of glass, looked at it in the microscope, it would be alive for a while. But is that God? Does it have any concept, any belief, any truth? No. Neither do we. And that's why we are in hell. To show you how God loves you and how God doesn't love you, let's go into those details. God protects you. How? People don't even understand that statement. I don't think Moses did either. All right, here's the thing. You die. What happens? I do many shows on that. Listen to them. But when you reincarnate, and most souls will, and now the New Age world thinks they can come back, whatever they want, do whatever they want, be anywhere they want. Do you think anybody would come back as a homeless person? A poor child in another country starving to death? Do you really think anybody would come back in any of those positions? And why are they? Because you don't have the right. You don't have that right no matter what you tell yourself or what you tell other people. People, you get what you deserve. Your karma, which is the most important word that you have to understand in this reality. Every action, every thought, everything you do is karma. Good or bad. And there's a good and there's a bad. Bad karma will make you reincarnate over and over. Good karma will help you stay in the next realm or help you get further down the road into a higher realm. All right? And that means the inner worlds, dimensional worlds, but not the dimensions that science talks about. Not the physical reality, which has 3 dimensions, and in each dimension there's 3 other dimensions. So when they go, we're going to go into this dimension, it's still part of the matrix of the physical reality in hell. Why do you think it's so bad? Why do you think things happen and all this other stuff? This is the only place soul, which you are, can experience pain, suffering, see it, feel it, watch it every day. And if you think that's anything close to heaven or even a good place to be, really? Why? We don't do anything positive. We have not created anything spiritual in 40,000 years. And we're going into war. We're going into horrible situations right now. Why is that? Greetings in the chat room. You're asking about the question. It's okay to do whatever you want. All right? You got free will to do anything you want. The only thing is you're not right to do is hurt other people. But we'll get into that later if I have time. Now, the idea of God was given to mankind by Moses, mostly. The Egyptians, the Mayans were working with deities and aliens. Hinduism was based on deities, and they're real. I call them little gods. And when you become aware, if ever, you experience the inner worlds, outer worlds, dimensional worlds, but they're not part of this reality. And when you leave your body, soul usually goes to the astral plane when it dies. It will stay there for a period of time. Based on its karma, it'll come back or not. Is God watching over you? God doesn't have to. That's why there's so many angels and deities and all these other words. That's why Satan's there as well. Now, when God watches over you, what it means, it only means soul. All right? You know, people use the word, well, we're eternal. Eternal is like an imaginary word. If you're not aware of all your past lives, being eternal doesn't mean a thing. What does it mean? Well, I'll live forever and I'll never die. Well, if you can't remember any of your lives, what good was it? So there's a lot of things you need to learn which people aren't learning. After 100, 200, 300 incarnations, you think you would be moving forward. Very few souls do. Now, what does God grant you? When you leave this reality, many things. In this reality, not very much. Now, these things are in parts of my talks if you listen to any of them, but when I was here in the beginning of my first reincarnation onto this planet, it was called Atlantis. It was the most spiritual time of the human race. It was the only time the human race lived in complete peace and harmony. We didn't kill and eat animals. You couldn't steal, you couldn't rob, you couldn't cheat, you couldn't hurt somebody. Everybody could see and know things without talking. You could talk if you wanted to, but there was very little talking. Physical words were created by man to take away from what it means and what it feels. Can you write the words of what love feels like? Oh, it feels good. It feels great. But can you really describe it? You can't describe certain things. So when you meet somebody, you look them in the eyes. Now, that's something that's very much lost as well. The native people don't look people in the eyes ever. They're afraid you're going to steal their soul if you do. The same as they don't let you take their picture because they don't think you take their soul. So, different people have different beliefs, but very few of them are anything close to the truth. When you die, you will understand soul to a level because that's all you're going to be, a soul. But where are you going to be? What are you going to be doing? What's your next step and all that? God's protection is still man-made. God doesn't have to protect soul. It created a certain entity, which the soul is. It needs to learn, just as a baby does. If a baby is not given any support, any help, what will it do? Die. Some animals could live by themselves, but most creatures can't. And we're a creature that cannot live by ourselves. I mean, you heard many stories of a wolf finding a baby and helping it survive, and it became a wolf within its own reality. I mean, there's stories out there. How real are they? Doesn't matter. You're in your own story right now, and you're writing it. What you want to believe, what you don't want to believe, what you accept. All right? Hold on, where are my glasses? I can't see anything. Sorry. I don't know where sunglasses either. I'm doing it in the dark because it's nighttime. My partner's asleep. This is in the middle of the night. I don't expect a lot of people to be here. I'll put it up and everybody will go into it tomorrow. All right. I don't do this show for the many. I do it for the few anyway. Few people that want truth. Greetings, Eugene. Right. Yeah, there's people here. But let's stick with this program because, all I hear is the lack of God, the lack of understanding of God, the twisting of ideas of what it is. I'm going to go into detail. I woke up today, I had to do a couple things. Now, my partner is a Buddhist Lama, all right? Buddha did not believe in God, all right? They believe in oneness. They believe in the bliss state. They believe in a couple things. Now, greetings, Eugene. When people say the bliss state, it's void of anything. If you want to stay in that state, that's your choice. You got freedom. Soul has the freedom to stay here or leave. But it chooses to stay here. It'll reincarnate over and over because it's not learning anything truthful about itself. You learn more and more programs from other people, other books, other writings. And I say this, I studied the Emerald Tablets. There's some truth in that. I mean, when you study different things, you'll get a bit of truth. The Bible has a very small bit of truth in it. Jesus was real. Jesus never said he was God. Jesus never tried to be God. His teachings aren't in the Bible because they couldn't understand what he was teaching. So people, when we talk about God and Jesus as God, it's a man-made concept. If somebody said you're a God and then the rest of the world believed it, would that make you God? Of course not. Would you say you're God? No, you wouldn't. And if you do, you're a fool. I know one person in the UFO world that came out, public TV when he first came out, said he was God, David Wilcock. All right, people will say that. If you go online and type people that are God or believe they are, there's about 10 people in the world that actually believe they're God. All right? Now, what was God's abilities? What is God? And any of that. Do most people have a clue? No, because their truth comes from a written word. God is a loving being that loves us all and we're created in its image. What image is that? The body is a useless body. It's only temporary. You have it for 125 years max. And when it dies, you leave it. But guess what? You'll come back and take another body. So is that body spiritual? No. So are you spiritual because you're in a body? No. What makes you spiritual? Nothing. Because most people never go outside the box, meaning the body, understanding spirit, understanding angels, understanding God, understanding demons. They're all real. And they influence everything. And right now, aliens are programmed as well, people. They're not going to come here and save your butt, even though most people believe it. And all these great speakers out there are preaching it, making people believe talking to aliens is a good thing. Talk to an ant. Talk to a caterpillar. How good is that? What benefits are you going to get from it? Talk to a tree. Oh, I talk to a tree and get a lot. I studied with the medicine in 26 years. Well, the communication you get with a tree is just grounding yourself. You talk to a rock. It's just grounding yourself. Sit by the ocean. Now, when you touch the ocean, you're touching a wide force of energy. Now, it could be a lot of things, a healing energy, an information energy. But the old saying, if you go into the ocean, are you one drop in the ocean or do you become the ocean? Well, it's your choice. You always have a choice in this reality. If you become one with the ocean, you're an ocean. You stay one, you still have your own awareness, which is what you need to be who you are. Greetings, Wolf. When people talk about God, and I'm going to get back to the story. When my partner came, I went to the store, I came back. My partner went out, she came back. She was upset. She's in pain. She broke her leg. She just had a pacemaker put in. She's in a lot of pain. So she met somebody. And they said to her, well, God's not real. There's no God. What a sick God if there is. And what she said to me, well, I believe him. There is no God. That's what do you mean? Well, you think there's a guy sitting up there pulling your strings? I said, pulling your strings to do what? Well, this life, And I said, you think it makes people have car accidents, drink, do drugs, kill, rape, abuse? Do you really believe it? We have free will. God created soul with free will. You're free to become aware or not. That's as free as it gets. You either want to be an aware being or you don't. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no in-betweens. When you start working to become an aware being, you do become that. But it's not easy. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do on this planet because it goes against everything you believe in, everything you're programmed to accept. Life is good. Life is great. Trees are beautiful. Water is beautiful. We're doing great things. Chemistry, medicine, all is great. Really? Medicines, I don't want to get into those words. I'll lose my show. I got one more chance on this show. But I can't even go into parts of the truth because I'll just lose my show. The things I can get away with actually pertain to spiritualism and things like that because they don't know and nobody has a clue. But if you say medicine, drugs, government, things like that, oh, you're going against reality, going against the truth. Do they know the truth of anything? Science doesn't know. They'll never understand God. Never. Not in this reality. Out of the 8 billion people on the planet, roughly, how many understand God truly, what it is, what it does, its reason for your life, and all the other things? And I talk to people daily. I do shows all the time. And I give a workshop on God, how to understand it, how not to understand it. And what I always tell them to do, and this is what I do in any workshop I do when I'm talking about God, is get out a paper and pencil on a piece of paper. Draw a line down the middle, put God is on one side and God is not on the other. And on the side God is, you can't put everything. God is not everything. God's not your sick ego. God's not the perversions that you do. God's not the things you make. All right. But what is God? Now, I'm going to tell you this. Everything you write on what God is probably a lie to you. And you probably can't write anything God isn't because you don't know what God is. But try it. Just do it for yourself. See how many things you could put God isn't. God isn't a liar. God isn't this. How do you know? Do you know God? Do you talk to God? Sure, there's people that talk to God, say they do. You can experience God. It doesn't have a vocal cord and talk to us and say, oh, well, I'm glad you're here. I wanted to tell you to be a good guy. You really believe that? If you do, you're just programmed. And now with alien programming and government programming, mankind's being pulled out of any connection to God. Now, I want to try to get as much into this as I can today because I see a sad event happening to the world. Dolphins are the most intelligent creatures on the planet. They have a brain exactly like ours. It's about a quarter of an inch smaller. A dolphin, a bottlenose dolphin. They use different parts of it. They use sonar, they use radar. When they come up to you, they look through you and they see everything you read and what's going on, your vibration and all that. I mean, a dolphin can learn to speak 150 words. A monkey can only learn to speak 50 words. I studied dolphins all my life. I was with the trainer of Flipper, the one that actually created the movie The Cove, which is a movie you should really see about dolphins. What man does, what man's doing. To say we're spiritual? What's that mean? What does spiritual mean to anybody? All right, it's a great title. I'm a spiritual being. I'm a spiritual lecturer. I'm spiritual, and I'm going to teach you what God is. Do you know? Do you have a clue? I haven't met one person yet that can talk about God in any important level of awareness. And I'm not bragging. I wish I could. I have nobody to talk to, people. When you talk to someone, well, God said this, we can't do that. There is no God. They're already programmed to not talk about it. God is loving, but not in this lower realm. God doesn't love life here. We're like ants and caterpillars. We don't have any intelligence. We're not doing anything good. Sex is all we have, people. Does that make us spiritual? Making toys is the second thing man has. Is that spiritual? What do we do here? Nothing. We say a lot of things, we believe a lot of things, but what do we do? Anything good? We talk about world peace and world love and compassion. Well, when people say, well, I send the world, a spiritual person will say, I send unconditional love to the world. So, I send unconditional love to rocks. Does it help the rocks? It's the same thing. Does it help starving children in other countries? Are we helping people in other countries? Do we help each other? We don't. I used to work with a friend, be his bodyguard when he did all the whole life expos and stuff like that. And you see these different paths. Ekankar, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, and so-called other religions and stuff, and they have their own booths set up, and they talk about things. And you got all the New Age people promoting objects and machines and devices. But you don't see any of them working together in any level. I met a group of people that came from the rainforest, and they're selling all kinds of herbs and plants from the rainforest. Cool. But do these people unite with each other? No, they just want to sell their product. All right. Mankind is, even though it says it's one with everything, it's one with itself. What do I want? Sex, love, money. Outside of that, does people say, I want God? How many people really want God? Well, I know God. I what? You talk to God? What did it ever tell you? Don't get a job, get a house, get married. What did it tell you? Think about it, people. What did God ever tell anybody on this planet that was important? It doesn't speak to us, people. Well, I met him in my dream. Conversation with God. I debated him a couple times, but he won't physically debate me. Most people out there are afraid to talk about the truth because they don't know it. The truth will destroy a lie in a second, where a lie will destroy the truth. People will believe it, but that doesn't make it true. And like psychics and people like that, if they get one person to believe in them, that person just says, well, they healed me. And then it spreads to the second person. Oh, they healed me. And it's an idea of acceptance. Tell yourself anything you want. And then like Sai Baba, he went around the world. He was one of probably the most famous, had the largest amount of followers. And when he died in a hospital of pneumonia. He was supposed to tell everybody when he was going to come back. He's supposed to tell everybody when he dies, when he comes back, which he didn't do. All right. I met one of the highest lamas. All right. And my partner ran the temple in Hawaii. She ran the store. All right. I took my glasses off. Now I lost them again. But basically, when I met him, he was young. He was one of the youngest lamas, but he was supposed to be the reincarnation. Not supposed to be, is, whatever. The reincarnation of another lama. And it was a lama that my partner followed. That's why I ended up going to see him and meeting him. But in his speech, he said some things that made me feel horrible about Buddhism. Man is a man. They will never be anything other than that. Not a spiritual being, spiritual giant. They'll be a man. And what he said, because he was being forced in the situation to be this high lama, and he was really thinking about leaving it. Well, he said, he told the truth. He says, I don't remember my past lives, which is important. Then he said, his whole childhood, he was abused in the temple. Lamas do a lot of, priests and everybody else that claims to be anything, do a lot of sexual perversions. They're spiritual? How can you do that? There's one thing having sex and being in a relationship and all those other kind of things, but when it comes to hurting other people, you go outside the boundary of being a spiritual person at any level. Don't care who you are. I can go into Moses if you want, but not right now. So when we talk about these things, are we looking at anything pertaining to the truth? What is God? Do you believe in God? Why? Well, my cousin, the full-fledged Christian, she'll probably listen to this. She said, I had a miracle. I met Mary and different things. The mind takes whatever it perceives and puts it into the program that it has of its own understanding. Your mind is a computer chip, nothing more. Everything you learn, taught, experience goes into the brain and becomes a wrinkle. And your brain's like a storage bank, like if you walk into a library. Well, what does a car mean? You pull out a book on car, on a person, on love. All those books that are programmed in there are in there. So when you put in a situation, the only thing a computer do is go to what it has in its knowledge bank. I'm just going to say that, but I'm not going to get into it today. Artificial intelligence pertaining to that, it's incredible and super dangerous, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. Think about it. What does a computer have to do with artificial intelligence? A lot. But totally different subject, because that has nothing to do with God. Nothing at all. All right. All the races that came here have very little knowledge or no knowledge of a real God. Even when the alien interrogation and things like that, it goes into its idea of how the world was created and stuff. But that's all programs that it was fed. Now, I don't know if you know there were 7 people that came from Venus. Thor, who went to the White House and all that. I mean, they're true stories, but the people want to understand them, believe them, no. But he had superpowers. That alone means you're different, because nobody has psychic abilities at any great level on this planet right now. Sure, psychics say they can heal, they can do this. Heal the world. Just do it if you can. Why not? Because you can. So, when people say, I can do this, I can do that. Greetings, people. I'm surprised people, I said, I stay up all night most of the time writing letters to everybody. I mean, that's why I probably got blocked a couple of times and everything else. I put the truth on top of anybody that's putting a lie out there. It's the only thing I can do. I can't hear it. I can't stand and listen to a lie. When somebody tells you God loves you, he'll protect you. Not this body, not this planet, your soul. And that's why it gives you the right to reincarnate until you learn. And it's not going to tell you how many times you have to do it. It's up to you. It's free will. And most people will never step into that point. They want free will to say things and do things, good or bad. We don't know the difference of good and bad in this reality in general. Drinking, smoking, sports, are they good for anything? Taking your money. All right, we accept things, we're programmed to believe in things, but nothing about a real God. Now, I'm going to get into it a little bit. I don't want to go into too many details, because you have to experience it. Because my words are just words until you can experience it yourself. God is real. God is eternal. God has been here forever. Not the Big Bang didn't create God, and it didn't create us. People want to believe science over truth. But science tries to prove they're true. But every time they prove something, 5-10 years later, they prove it was a lie. I'll tell you straight out, don't believe science. Don't believe any of those words. An idea from a person is not the truth. So when we talk about God, what's it look like? Well, sure, not anything you perceive it to be, not like a human being. I can only give you a slight reflection of what I saw, what it really is. I'm going to tell you this first. You get to see God 3 times in your life if you're on a path to attain spiritual awareness. The first time you will be taken by an angel. The second time you'll be taken by an angel. The third time you have to go by yourself. And it will probably be a split second that becomes a reality, because out of your body time is so different. What you get is not by verbal communication and things like that, or mental communication. It's beyond that. Soul awareness is so different than mind awareness. And when people say we're all mind, we're all consciousness, no, you're not. The word definition of consciousness was written by a man. Anything man wrote was limited to the level of this vibration. Words are useless in alien worlds. But you can learn your name. Every soul has a name, but it's a spiritual vibration. And people, even some people that find it, say they're afraid to say it. Why? Nobody can steal your vibration. All right, mine's the car. All right, and you can chant it. When you go in the inner worlds and say it, everything in the inner worlds will know you by that. Period. You can't change it. You can't say, well, I'm this. So when you go to the astral plane, when you die, they know who, what you are, what your vibration is. Now, the other people don't realize there are gods there. There's 3 gods on the astral plane. And Lucifer is one of the beings that are there as well. And he's not the demon that people is. But here's the thing, people. They can make the decision if you can go past them or not. And if you can't vibrate at a certain level, you can't go past them, people. Just because you want to. You can want a lot of things, but you just can't get it until you deserve it. So is God bad or good because by what it does? No. You get what you deserve always. Reincarnation is what you deserve. What you reincarnate into is what you deserve. Everything that happens in your life is what you deserve, good or bad. If you're a spiritual being, you won't reincarnate back into this world. There's no reason to. But my family, that means you haven't attained spiritual awareness. You had hundreds of families, thousands of families. Do you care about any of them? Why not? Because you don't remember. And when you reincarnate, you're not going to remember this lifetime. So the things we do and create and say are lies to ourselves. I'm eternal. Why? Prove it. What do you know about creating a you? When was the first time you came down into this lower realm? You don't know. Why not? Because you're not aware. Awareness is what really is important in attaining in this lifetime. And you don't attain it from anybody else. Are you attaining awareness from me? No, you're just learning about ideas and ways to help you recognize and work for yourself to find out what it is. I'll give techniques and things like that, which can help you attain that and become that. But you got to do it. I can't do it for you. Nobody can do things for you. It's all a matter of yourself. Now, when Buddha said oneness and we're all one in consciousness and all those things, well, in a way, it's true. But you're one with God. You're not one with yourself. And there's a big difference between those 2 words. Ego plays the biggest part of this reality. Money increases ego. I don't care what anybody says, and that's a fact. Jesus said it many times. But it's the truth. All right. And then when we talk about sex, well, that's the controlling force for all creatures. Sadly to say, does it help? Does it make things better? Does it do anything? For a short period of time, your ego, your senses, the 5 senses of the body, that's what love fits into in this reality. But that's not the true definition of love. If you didn't experience God, you can't experience the truth about what love truly is. Understand, now this is what the part will probably make most people not understand God. Through God's love, it allows you to experience all these things to gain awareness. If you didn't have any experiences, sat in your house, you ate all day, had sex every night, ate all the next day, and died, what did you learn? All right, so you went out to work and you built a new car. Is that changing anything? You know, we have the ability to create. We had cars that ran on water 50 years ago. And they never did it. They actually removed the situation so it wasn't part of reality. But when it's not in the reality that controlled government wants, it's taken out. I don't get into that too deep. I mean, I understand the army's doing what they have to do for the rich people. Rich people control what they need to control, reality, in this realm. All right. So when you talk about God and you go before God, what do you expect to see? Remember, your mind is what's going to be in your body when you come back into it. The experience you bring back into the body is going to be limited to by what the mind could perceive. If the mind sees something it totally doesn't understand, how can it describe it? It can't. Does it even know what it is? It doesn't. The mind is based on its own facts that it's programmed with. You tell a computer the name is Joe. The computer comes on, greetings, this is Joe. It's not going to say I'm Peter Pan or I'm Superman. It's not going to say anything else. It can only base it on what it knows. So when you see God, you get a perception and you come back into the body. How aware is soul and mind? They're separate, and you can learn to use them separately, but not constantly. You cannot live in soul in this reality. You are soul, but you can't live within its own awareness because it's living in. All right. And the body still controls everything. You get in a car, you can dream and fantasize everything you want, but your car's going to go where it goes. Period. Where you put it, it'll go, but it won't go across the ocean. You can't. Because there's so many limitations what you can actually do in this body. But when you go back and say, okay, I met God, now what? What did it teach me? What did it show me? What do I know? Well, that you really have to start becoming aware to separate it. It might take time. If the awareness is there within soul, which it is, it'll always be there. All your past lives are within soul. And the mind will never let it come through. 99.9% of the time, it will not let it come through. And there's one person in California, a spiritual leader, that says he'll tell you what your past life was. And that's acceptance of what somebody tells you. He could tell you were a bat in your last life, and how could you prove him different if you're not aware? So when you go to any psych, any spiritual healer, any of those kind of people that claim they can do all these things, what can you do for me? All right. I was with a medicine woman. I was going to go into healing, but I realized that's not what I wanted to do. I mean, I was being pulled into it. I worked with crystals for a long time, but now I use meteorites if I do any kind of work like that, but I don't make it a habit. I don't want to heal people. I'm not going to try. People have karma. You have to work your karma out. Everything you get comes from that karma. I was in a building and it blew up. That wasn't my karma. Yes, it was. Well, a plane crashed into my house. That's your karma, not the plane. Plane's just an object to allow your karma to manifest. Everything that happens is a manifestation of your karma, good or bad. Now, if you live a perfect life, doesn't mean you're free of karma. The words that will keep you to them, and remember these words, I change them to something else. Here's the basic words: lust, greed, anger, vanity, and attachment. That's 5. Now, attachment being the worst. Being attached to this world, being attached to your family, being attached to cars, whatever would pull you back into this reality. So one of the words you got to get rid of and overcome is attachment. I'm not saying don't love your family, don't care about your family, but you have to realize when Jesus spoke to his disciples, he said, leave your family, leave your children, leave your friends. Why would he say that? Think about it. You can't change anybody else. Just because you say you love them, you can't change them. I love my partner. She loves me. She can't change me, and I can't change her. All right? She doesn't believe in God. I know God is real. Big difference for me, but not for her. So when you realize these 5 words, lust, greed, anger, vanity, and attachment, I change them to more specific realities that's in this reality world: sex, drugs, drinking, cheap thrills, cheap sex. All right. When you talk about sports, it's it's a program of acceptance of what? Native people played a game called the stick game. They would take a stick and hit a rock around and back and forth. They would do it all day. There was no winners, there was no losers. It was just a pastime. You know, when we think something's beneficial, we put money on it. I mean, sports goes into gambling and betting and all that as well. But to get excited because two guys knock each over to grab a ball, hockey, baseball, and I say anything with a ball, BALL, is a perversion. Any game, soccer, volleyball, badminton, I mean, whatever you're playing with, it's a little thing you're playing back and forth with. Spending a couple hours playing with this thing, training for months and months to what? Catch a ball, throw a ball, kick a ball. Imagine that energy being used to grow a plant, creating farms, to be used beneficially while we're here on this planet. But like I said, there are things like I'm attached to cars, I'm attached to bikes, I'm attached to plants, I'm attached to whatever the thing is. It stops you from attaining any more growth from that. I can talk to plants. People, this is a very short lifetime, 125 years. You can attain awareness in one lifetime if you start and really work hard at it. The old saying, you can't push on a door that's opens in when you're trying to get out. You got to let it open. But you work with it to that degree. You can't force it to happen, but you can create all the boundary, groundwork, and the steps for it to happen. It's not complicated, but it's still not easy. You know, I give a person a technique. I say, do it for 30 days. You cannot miss one day. All right. Now, if you do a technique for a half hour every day for 30 days, you're going to have an experience. But you know how many people can't do that? There's always an excuse from the mind. Oh, well, no, we got to do this. Oh, we can't do that. We got to do this today. Oh, we can't do it. It'll cut it to a point where it doesn't happen. You know, we surround ourselves like what they just said, junk. Nothing important. Cheap thrills, experience. And what's the biggest thing now is a cheap thrill of coming close to death, mountain climbing. I mean, things like that, where you can die within a split second. It's called a cheap thrill. I mean, sex is a thrill from how long? Depending on who you are. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour. I mean, Sting said he had sex for 24 hours straight. People claim a lot of things and say a lot of things. But you know, if you're doing something, even if you say for 5 hours, you don't think it's boring? You know, when you do a ride, you go on one of the biggest rides in any action park. The first time you go down it, it's incredible. Go down it 3 times. It's really cool. Go down it 20 times. And suddenly it feels different. And the more you do it, the more you become accustomed to it. So, you know, the cheap thrill has to be something new. Be the first time. All right. So that being said, when it's the first time, it stimulates the 5 senses of the body. And that's where you get all your courage, your strength, your abilities, your thinking, your thoughts from. That's what this reality is based on. The body is based on those. The idea of love comes from the 5 senses: touch, smell. I mean, feelings like that. So has nothing to do with soul. And basically in Hinduism, Kama Sutra and Kundalini energy and all those words. Well, in our minds, the highest energy we can attain is through like a peak of sex before your climax. All right? And Kundalini and Kama Sutra, and when 2 people sit together and they create their energy together, it's taking them up to God. No, it's not. It doesn't get past this reality. They tell themselves it does. You know, man, when you're in love and you have sex, making love, you think that's the highest space, and because it stimulates the body, and that's what stimulates the mind, and that's what makes mind think it's all so important. All right, imagine I saw children that have no sense and no feeling. They can touch things and they can't feel it. They don't know how hard they're squeezing things and things like that. That's taken away a lot from them because now they're growing up without one of the senses. And that's pretty scary because we only have five. Take one away, that's only four. And take two away, like you're deaf and can't hear or can't speak. I mean, people lose them, but they become more aware in so many other things. Look at a person that can't see. Look at a person that can't speak. I mean, they're forced to go beyond the boundaries of the five programs. Plus, I mean, and then they become aware, not of God, but it's more aware of reality, of within their reality, which is a benefit in one way. Everything that happens is to help you take a step forward. I remember story mine when I was young. Don Lepore was one of the highest psychics in the United States. I brought him to our house and we were going to do a seance. There were 13 people in the room. One of them had a fake hand, my friend. And he wanted somebody to work with. He wanted me to work with him. I said, no, I'm not. This is a person with him, and they channels everything through that person. Well, he was doing a seance. And he went around the room asking people questions. And when he came to my friend, he says, why don't I have a hand? And what he said, well, it's to help you grow. That's all he could say. But when he came to me, he goes, I can't answer any question from you. All right. At that time, and I'm not making this story up, the 13 people in that room all saw my third eye open. And I mean, in a real sense. And after it was over, they go, man, your eye opened up. And I said, well, you know, I have my own way of viewing things, which was like through that. But it was just interesting because he was one of the top psychics claiming this stuff, saying these things, and it was just trivial stuff. Obviously couldn't say anything important. I mean, when you go to a psychic, how many of them say, well, your grandmother's going to die next week and your father's going to die the week after? You're going to get hit by a plane in 2 years. How many people tell you all the things that might be important? They don't. Second of all, how many people want to pay to hear anything bad? Not too many people. Now, all my life, I worked with the top psychic from the time I was 14 till probably 24. She was rated by the New York Psychic Center as the top psychic in the United States, based on their teachings, their technology. She always wanted me to come with her. I never went. But when I met this guy, Don Lepore, at our house, he came over and he goes, I want you to work with me. And you know what I said to him? I don't work with fakes. I was only, 15 years old. And at that point, I always knew I was different. But the point is, does it make me better? No. You're only here for yourself. No matter what you do, good, bad, or indifferent, it's only for you. Are you better? Are you worse? Are you're more aware or not? So everything you think you're doing and changing the world, changing reality, changing this, you're doing nothing. Hell will always be hell until God decides different. When it relaxes Satan from its job, it might change. Now, Sergeant 18, who I worked with for many years, claimed for the past couple of years, he's just kind of disappeared recently, but he said, Jesus is going to come here in 2034 and take out Lucifer. Ridiculous statement. But it became suddenly, we worked together for 7 years straight. And he always called me the spiritual one. And he always said he's the whatever. I'm not going to say the way he worded it, but he was the one that always talked about the aliens and everything else. But suddenly in the last couple of years, he had an experience with Mother Teresa, and he said he met Jesus. And I said, what did you say? What did you ask him? I said, I'll give you a question to ask Jesus. All he could say is you're right. But he still came out and said 2034, Jesus comes down here and destroys Lucifer, and the world's perfect again? With all these demons, entities, people, sick people, we're going to be beautiful again? That's like taking away your growth of freedom and making you a spiritual person. God could have did that in the beginning if that's what it wanted, people. People don't look at reality. Don't look at start, finish, middle, the steps in between, the beginning and the ending, and the ending of the earth. If the earth gets destroyed, which it could happen, which is alien, if you watch the alien autopsy, alien interrogation, he says one man's going to destroy the planet. It could be Trump, it could be Biden, it could be anybody, but it could be, but he wouldn't say the name. But if that happens, the world will be recreated. There'll be another world because soul just can't go into the higher worlds because it dies. There'll be another world where all these souls will reincarnate back too. Now, and I'm not making things up because I want to, but I'll tell you this. Aliens are reincarnating into human bodies. That's why so many percentage of the people believe they walk into their aliens, or they were aliens, and they are aliens. Because of that. The same as the gay situations happening because of we were male and female in many lifetimes. But here's the thing. If you were male in many lifetimes, you probably weren't female in too many. If you were female in many lifetimes, you're probably not a male in many. So when you come into this reality and you were male most of your lifetimes and now you're a female, soul is touching that and aware of that. Mind isn't. But it's like, soul's aware of it. It doesn't forget. Not that soul's male or female. It isn't. So everything that's happening is based on what we allow our minds to do. All right? So if you focus on God, say, what can I do that would be what God wants me to do? Think about it. What could you do that God wants you to do? Go around helping the homeless people, feeding them? There's what? 3/4 of the planet is starving. You're going to help them all? Really? You're going to save them? You're going to teach them anything? You have to be real to yourself. When you look in the mirror, who do you see? Everybody else? A simple technique, you can stare at a black crystal, black stone, or even your cell phone with a red light on in the background and stare into it. Don't blink, or try not to, okay? The less you blink, the faster things will happen. All right? You'll see your past lives. You can go into lots of things. It's incredible. It was used by witches. It was used by ancient people, mystics and all that in the old days, old days. All right? There's little things you can do that will help you take a step because you're not going to take it any other way. Going to work 8 hours a day, going to work 10 hours a day isn't going to help you. Help you pay your bills, help you feed your family, whatever. But it's going to help you understand God. You're in the hospital dying. You might start thinking about it, God. Is God real? Can he help me? Am I going to see God? Well, you're not going to see God because you die. It doesn't make you that God's personal pet, whatever. All right? But it makes you think a little more about what's going to happen when you do die. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? I just did a workshop on that as well. I can only do so much in an hour or two. And I don't do everything by readings and writings. I used to. I always feel whatever is in the moment is what's important. I don't push shows that I did 10 years ago. I don't push my books that I wrote 20 years ago. My first book was How to See God. Second book was When Truth is Called Crazy. Then Truth Beyond the Illusion. But my latest book is The True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization. So, and I'm working on a book about some really hardcore stuff right now. It's just about done, but it's holding off because I really can't get a person to edit it. It's about a really taboo topic and hardcore topic called rape. So yeah, it's really hard to get somebody to edit it. My best friend's a very high spiritual person, medicine woman, but She can't even edit it. People that were sexually abused have a real hard time with a lot of things all their life. So to me, the worst crime on this planet is rape. Killing, the person goes to the next karma. You help them move on. And it was a way for them to get out of here, to start over, start fresh. Maybe they didn't have to reincarnate again. But see, people look at it the opposite way. You're free from this body. I had 5 death experiences. Each one of them showed me so much more. All right. I spent 45 years trying to travel out of the body, right? I did. It took me about 20 years to learn all my past lives. Most of them were useless. I say useless. I didn't learn much. My first one during Atlantis was really important. My second one was when I was alive with Jesus. I was a female. Mary Magdalene was my closest friend. My third one, I watched Wounded Knee, the slaughter of it. So, you watch mankind, what they do, what we became, what we become. All right. Somebody just asked me to tell about a death experience. I did my last show a couple days ago. It was one of them. But, when I did have a problem with my life, living in life all my life. When I was little, I used to take out a knife and try stabbing myself, and I said, this world sucked. Sorry. I did a lot of medicines because I had stomach problems. I had peptic duodenal ulcers from the time I was 6 till pretty late, 20-something. I was supposed to get my stomach cut out, and that's when I challenged God. I don't suggest, but I did, and it healed my stomach. I had bleeding ulcers and all that, but again, I always take the extra step into the darkness no matter what. Now, in your life, you ever hear the word dark night of soul? Any person that wants to move forward and really become aware of who and what you are, you have to step through that. You have to go through it. You have to see the other part of yourself and know it's real. All right? You just can't wash over and say, well, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to think about it. You have to go through it because it will always be there. And if you can't control it, it will control you. I mean, there's all kinds of words for the dark night of soul. But it's something that you do got to do, meeting the dragon, enter the fire, and all these different kind of aspects of how you perceive it. But it's there. And it's just one more step that you can take. But fear, and I'll tell you this, everybody says, well, fear stops us from doing a job, from doing this. The only thing fear should stop you from doing is going against God. And that doesn't bother people at all. Because people say, well, God's useless, God's not real, God's not. When you don't know something, you shouldn't talk about it. All right? I base all mine on all my experiences that I did experience, the things I did go through. All right? The first time I left my body, and this is a fact, this is how it happened. I was with a group of people, and they were all sitting around talking for a while. And they were talking about, okay, now it's time to do a spiritual exercise. And I said to myself, how can you do a spiritual exercise? When you jump up and down 1,000 times, and that makes me spiritual? So I'm looking at these people, and they say, everybody close their eyes now. And they started chanting HU, which in their religion is the first name of God. So you start chanting it. Chanting is a good thing. You can chant your name if you find it, but the sound of you is like you. All right. And you just let it go. So I'm watching all these people doing it. I'm opening my eyes, looking right. And I see them all doing it. I was at the point where I was starting to laugh. So I started biting my tongue so hard so I didn't laugh out loud. And then all of a sudden I felt like I was going to bite my tongue off. And I said, I got to stop doing this. And then all of a sudden, it's like two hands. I mean, it was just like this, came smack on the back of my head and started pushing my head down, right? And I'm fighting it, and it's like pushing my head and pushing my head down. And then all of a sudden, like they just took their hands off, and I went poof, and I was standing in front of my body. I looked around and I saw the whole room. But at that point, that's when fear can hit some people. If fear comes in, then it's not going to happen too soon again. But I looked up, the ceiling opened up, and this ball of light came down, and I grabbed it. I saw the next 10 years of my life. Seriously. That was my first experience. Lucky, not, call it what you want, but it's how I experienced that part of being out of the body. All right. I mean, I did many other things. I met with the deity when I was young, and she traveled, took me places and things like that all the time. But that was something a little different than this, because I'm actually seeing my body, looking at it, sitting in a chair, and then traveling and seeing all these things. Now, it was going fast, so fast, it was hard to pick out things that were going by me. Then at the end, I'm standing in front of my body, looking at it, looking at all the people in the room again. And said, wow, I know I'm back in my body. So it's real. And all those things I saw, actually every single thing I saw and remembered came true. So soul's incredible. But it's the mind that stops it from being that. And that's why the government comes out with drugs and all these other things to keep us so we don't move forward. They stop us from talking to dolphins, working with dolphins, because that's a whole situation too. But all these little things that could help us grow, become more aware. Well, let's not focus on God, because that might make you look a little deeper into things. Focus on what? The universe, Mars, Moon, the Sun. The Sun's something totally different, but there's a lot of different aspects of it as well. You could stare at it in the morning and then late afternoon and get some incredible energy. But what is it and all that's another story as well. So, we can only perceive little things that the mind allows to happen. And it's what people allow the mind to be programmed to accept, which is little. Now, if I told you all the things that are actually happening right now, you'd probably blow up. Seriously. I knew lots of things existed here, there, and everywhere because I experienced them, saw them, and everything else. I mean, I knew alien ships were real when it came to abduct my brother at 6 years old. When I saw my first alien at 12, I knew it was real. When I saw Bigfoot, I was about 40-something. I was less than a foot away from it. So, yeah, they're all real. But then again, I said, well, what's important? What's really going on? So at that point, when you go through your experiences in life, how many experiences help you move forward spiritually? Any? I mean, wedding day is like the most important day of your life. Why? Meeting a person and forming that bond is the most important day, not just getting married to or buying a dress and buying a ring. All that's mandatory physical reality. Everything brings us back to this reality rather than helping us get into a different reality in an aware state. So when you do things, it's all programming. Money is the biggest program, builds the ego, doesn't help anything really. And money doesn't really exist in any good way. These multi-billionaires and millionaires, what are they doing with their money? Let's go to Mars. Let's eliminate all the cows in the United States. What are they doing? What are they creating? Their reality. They don't care what yours is. In the UFO world, there's people out there. I don't know if I'm going to say any names, and I won't say it today, but people claim they have the Ark of the Covenant, claiming they're working with all the crystal beings inside the earth, and they're going to bring them out. All these sayings that you hear, and not one of them happens. Why is that? People that take money from other people, especially for a lie, it's only karma. It's not going to help them ever. In matter of fact, they'll be paying for it in the near future. So time Think about your year. How old are you? 20, 30, 60, 80? Well, wherever you are within those time frames only gives you so much time to complete what you need to do in this lifetime, to attain what you need to attain. You need to attain awareness. I don't care what anybody else tells you. Praying to God, praying to Jesus, praying to Moses, praying to Muhammad, whatever you're going to do, you think it's going to help you. If you don't work at it, like just praying doesn't do anything. God knows what it's going to allow to happen down here. Not that it's involved with every single action. That's what angels are for. And demons and everything else is for. And most people accept the demon over an angel any day. And just so you know, people, a demon could take an image of an angel anytime. Just because they're standing in white or blue eyes or any of those stories, they're not spiritual beings. The Nordics are tall, white beings, blonde hair, blue eyes. Some people think they're Jesus. They're not Jesus and they're not spiritual. I hate to inform you what people believe and accept in the UFO world. It's ridiculously horrible. And it's getting worse every day. Let's get a group and go out and talk to aliens and all that kind of stuff. People, well, I want to be an alien. I want to get on a ship. Do you think an abduction was ever a good thing for anybody that was truly abducted? Listen to my show, Tuesday. This woman's been abducted most of her life. She's radioactive now, and she's a great person. I don't know how much longer she's going to be around. Radiation isn't a thing you want to be near or be a part of. I'm telling you. And you get on a ship and you travel through space, you're going to be exposed to it. All right? And you don't notice that too much. I don't want to go into those kind of stories. It's not going to help you understand God. Aliens aren't here to help you understand God. Demons aren't here to help you understand God. People aren't here to help you understand God. They're here to help you understand a program. The Bible has very little truth in it. I mean, cities and places and things, I mean, they do change, but a lot of places are there, but they don't know where things are. Now, and I mean, for me, only over the past year, I learned something that I wish I knew 10 years ago. I'm not going to go into the detail, but it had to do with Mary Magdalene. So, you know, we can search all our lives and think we got all the answers. And boing, something pops out. Wow, that could open another doorway. So, I don't know how much more I'm going to do this show, but what I'm going to tell you is it's time, people, to really find out who you are. Why are you really here? Everybody doesn't have a different mission. There's only one mission. I hate to tell you, people, it's not becoming a doctor, a lawyer, doing this, doing that. It's to become aware of who and what you are. Not by man's agenda, by your own. Who and what am I really? All right. Soul is incredible. Soul is eternal. But if you're not aware of that, it's useless. I mean, saying you're Superman and not being able to do anything doesn't mean you're Superman, does it? So it's time to become aware of who and what you are. Understanding that the only thing you're really truly in search of is understanding God. No matter what plane you're on, the worlds get incredible, and they're actually incredible at every level. The soul plane, where soul ends up, there's 5 worlds to get there. All right, when you get there, that's where soul stays. If you want to go beyond that, and I'm only telling you this, you gotta let go of soul. But you're not even close to even being there, so it's really incredibly hard to describe anything about it. But you can. God allows souls to go past the soul plane. Very few, but again, every step you take to take the next step, very few people do that step. Because once you get into 3rd and 4th world, they're anywhere from 1,000 to 1,000,000 times better than being here. And if that doesn't turn you on, I don't know what would. Playing hockey, playing football. Just imagine no pain, no suffering, no drugs, no chemicals, no None of those things, beauty and incredible things that happen and that you can do. It's mind-boggling. I mean, even on the third world, crystal cities and things like that. Uh, Nothing like it here in this reality. But until you experience that, you're not going to know that it's real. And if you don't, this is as real as it's going to get for you. And the concept of the soul, well, it's me. No, that body, what you look like is not what soul looks like. So to try to perceive what God looks like, you can't even see what you look like. Never mind what God looks like. There's a lot in the idea of God. But sadly, it's taken, being destroyed, being removed. And I hate to tell you that, people, but it's up to you to bring it back into your own life. Not reading the Bible. I mean, there's certain things you could read that might open your eyes a little. Jesus said a lot of important things. A lot of it wasn't understood by farmers and fishermen and people like that. And the words they used were limited. Even the concept of God wasn't real. That's why Jesus had to use the word my Father. We all have a Father, so we can understand that. And that's why it's in its image of that. I mean, Moses was limited to his awareness, but he was a powerful magician. Probably the highest black magician to ever live on this planet. But I don't want to go into that. Look, people, this is about you only. Nothing else, nobody else. Just you. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, it's my truth, my experiences. But I can only give them to you to help you get your own. I'm not going to tell you anything that I experience is going to be exactly the way you experience it. I will tell you this. There are gods that you have to face when you try to go past the acid plane. And you don't want to be pulled in by demons. You have to know how to protect yourself. All these little things are not taught in this reality. Do you know how to protect your children? You have children in a bedroom. You come home from a bar. Do you know how to protect them? Do you know what you bring into the house when you come? Do you have any idea of the energy and the entities that hang around and hang with you? All these things, because you just can't see it. You don't believe it's real. Ghosts are being proven at every level now. If you watch all these shows, how real they are. But I can go into the reason why it's happening. And it basically happened because of Tesla's invention called the Philadelphia experiment. All right, but here and there, this is about reality right now. What are you going to do? What's your next step? No matter what I say to you, what I said to you today, right now, what are you going to do? Well, what I suggest, the first step you should do is get out a piece of paper and pencil and write down what you think God is. Nothing? Then there's nothing I can help you with. Because you're not going to look forward or look into it or try to understand the truth. You're already programmed and you're locked in that. Again, people usually only search out God when they're dying. Because at that point, wow, this reality is going to end. Now what am I going to do? And that's the fear. And you don't go to God with fear of it. But guess what? Most people that say they talk to God say they can't look at it because they were afraid of all the things they did, and they know all the things they did. But guess what? You'll never see God that way, ever. So I hope you got something out of tonight. It's tonight for me, early morning. It just turned 12:30 here. But are you willing to take another step forward? Not backwards, not sideways, forward into the unknown. Oh, the unknown is scary. Well, if it's not scary, it's probably not beneficial. If nothing different happened in your life, you wouldn't grow two inches. If everything's perfect, there's nothing you're going to experience. Experience comes from things that you didn't experience. And you are for the first time. The first time you leave your body will give you the greatest experience you can have in this reality. Because when you start doing it, it's no longer the greatest experience. It's just an experience that you have to keep working with. All right. So, well, I'm trying to say, listen to people. Listen to what they say about God and death and all these things. Aliens are going to help us. What? What do you think an alien can help you do? What do you think an angel is going to help you do? Well, when you step out of your body, there'll be a guide or an angel there that'll help you take your next step in the inner world, not this world. They're not going to say, well, you got to quit your job and become a baker. That's not what they're going to tell you. I was going to say over, but I'm going to talk about one thing. You know, religions are all different. They all have different beliefs, different ideas. Do any of them have the real truth? Do you know anything about angels? Do you know how many angels there are? Well, in the Bible, there's only 9. In Revelations, it talks about hundreds. So when a person says they work with an angel, why do they work with the 9 angels that are mentioned in the Bible? It's just like trying to get Don Laporte, any super psychic that's super famous. They book solid for 2 years. So you think the highest angel is going to come down and tell you, oh, you got to get a job today. What do you think it's going to come down and talk to you for? Did you ever open a doorway to try to talk to your angel or guide or anything? And if you ever heard them talking to you, did you just ignore it? Of course you did. So are angels real? Yes. Do you want to work with them? Yes. But now, getting back to religions. The main difference between Christianity and Catholic and Protestants, Catholic religions keep Jesus on the cross, Protestants keep Jesus off the cross. All right. The image of keeping Jesus on the cross is to force their remembrance, saying, well, he's dying for my sins. That's not why he died. But I do talks, read my book and read things, do things outside the normal. But don't accept the programmed ideas that you already have. Muhammad met with who? Do you know who he met with? Well, if you read Quran and read what he actually got from the Quran and how he created part of the Muslim belief system from when he met with Gabriel. He met with Gabriel twice. The first time he didn't know who it was, but the second time, his brother told him who he met with. How did his brother know? Well, I read, not the whole thing, but I read parts of it. I read the lines that Gabriel told Muhammad. If you don't believe me, read them. Pull up the Quran. Talk to when Muhammad met with Gabriel and what Gabriel said. He said about 36 sentences, kind of like somebody was writing the 10 Commandments, but he said 36 things. One said, like, you should talk to everybody. And the next one would say, don't talk to anybody. Every third one contradicted one of the ones that was just said before it. If you think an angel has to contradict what it says, I don't know what you believe. But I studied in a Jewish temple. Not studied, I worked in a Jewish temple for 9 months. And I watched them, I call it praying to the wall on Wednesday. These things people do. And then what they do outside of their religion contradicts who they are. When a person says this, that, or other thing, I walk my path. I never said I was spiritual, ever. And when I attain complete spiritual awareness, I won't be here. Simple. I had the choice. I didn't take it. But again, when you step into that space, you don't need to be here. There's 1,000 times greater things to do, more important things to do. There's a council of nine beings that control the lower worlds. Outside of religion, outside of all things, they control what's really going to happen. All right? And they fight with each other. So, I mean, when the angels were thrown out, that's because they were fighting too. You know, the old saying, nobody's perfect. Well, you do become perfect when you become totally aware. You know the laws and you live by them completely. And you can't go, well, I could get away with this. Like I'm speeding, well, I can speed. Nobody will catch me. No, you can't go against them. which most people do down here. I have to catch myself in my place even. I always said the white lie, meaning if I don't tell it, I don't tell it. I don't have to say anything about it. I'm not lying. Well, it's true in one way, but you're holding that from being released as the truth. So the truth needs to be exposed because it will destroy all the lies in the end. And to me, the end could be 10 billion years from now. But the idea is to keep putting it out there because it will destroy the lies in the end, whenever the end comes. And if the world gets destroyed in 2 years, that could be then. Because the soul is ready to take the next step, will, and the ones that aren't, won't. This is up to you, people. Not up to Moses, not up to Jesus, God, not up to the president. It's up to you. You have total freedom, people. And it's not freedom to go out there and punch people out, blow people up, steal from people, all those things. It's freedom to be aware of who and what you are. You don't need anything here, people, whether you believe that or not. If you know God's real and you're connected to it in some way, all other things don't matter. Well, with that, people, I hope you got something out of today. Please send this link to anybody you know that might be interested. And if you don't get my emails, don't get my site. I don't know everybody that wants my link. You friend me on YouTube, it'll pull up my shows that I do. All right, people, I'm going to stick this out tomorrow because I know most people aren't up now that do listen to my show. But again, I can only put the truth out there, people. Whether you accept it or not, it's your choice. I'm not lying to you, and I'm not making money. So with that, people, peace, love, compassion, whatever you need in your life. Hope you get it. Don't stop. Don't look back. You got to keep moving forward. From Hawaii, Rev.Hawksblood here.